Let's peel back the layers on something we all probably take for granted. Bananas.
Sounds delicious already.
We'll get ready for a real treat today because we're taking a deep dive into a fascinating book you sent over, Bananas Unpeeled, The Unfiltered Truth About Our Favorite Fruit by Conrad Riker.
Oh, yeah, I remember sending that over.
I have to say, going into this, I thought I knew a thing or two about bananas, but let me tell you, this book totally changed my perspective.
I was really surprised, too, by how much I learned.
So let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the book throws this curveball. Are you ready for this? A banana is technically a berry.
Wait, hold on. Really? A berry?
It's true. Botanically speaking, it fits the definition of a berry.
Huh. Well, you learn something new every day.
And that's just the beginning. Believe it or not, the banana has a history dating back at least 7,000 years.
7,000 years.
7,000 years of cultivation. That's incredible.
So what did they look like back then? I mean, were they anything like the bananas we eat today?
Not even close. The bananas our ancestors knew were small, full of seeds, and probably not very sweet.
Oh, wow. So how did we get from those ancient bananas to the Cavendish variety we all know and love today?
That's a great question, and that's where human intervention comes in. Through selective breeding, we've essentially molded the banana to our liking, favoring traits like sweetness, seedlessness, and size. You know, what we look for in a good banana.
It's kind of amazing how we can shape nature, to suit our preferences like that.
It really is. But here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, go on.
Conrad Riker dives into this whole concept of genetic similarity, and get this, all Cavendish bananas. They're essentially clones.
Clones? What do you mean?
I mean, every single Cavendish banana you eat is genetically identical, descended from a single plant.
That's kind of mind-blowing, but it also sounds a little risky, right? What happens if a disease comes along that specifically targets Cavendish bananas? Wouldn't they all be susceptible?
That's exactly the risk with monoculture. One disease could potentially wipe out the entire crop, and it's already happened before.
You're talking about the Panama disease, right?
Forget it. The Panama disease epidemic in the early 20th century nearly wiped out the Gros Michel banana, which was the dominant variety before the Cavendish.
I remember reading about that. So are we basically on the verge of another banana apocalypse? Is the Cavendish at risk?
There's a new strain of Panama disease, Tropical Race 4, that's currently a major threat. And that's why scientists are in a race against time to develop new disease-resistant varieties.
That's a little unnerving. Hopefully they can find a solution before it's too late.
Before we go down that road, let's take a step back and talk about the banana's nutritional value. I mean, everyone knows they're a good source of potassium, but what else do they have going for them?
Well, bananas are actually packed with nutrients. Besides potassium, which is great for your heart, they're also a good source of vitamin C, vitamin B6, and fiber.
And they give you energy too, right?
Oh, yeah. They provide natural sugars for energy, but unlike processed sugars, those sugars come with fiber, which helps regulate your blood sugar levels.
So those claims about bananas being high in sugar, those are kind of misleading.
They are. It's all about context. The sugar in bananas is naturally occurring, and it comes with a bunch of other nutrients. Plus, a medium banana only has about 105 calories.
So it's a relatively low-calorie snack.
Yeah, and we've only just scratched the surface.
I can't wait to dive in deeper. So far, we've learned that a banana is technically a berry. It's got a super long history shaped by us humans, and the Cavendish banana we all love is facing a potential threat.
And let's not forget, it's a nutritional powerhouse.
Absolutely. This deep dive is definitely full of surprises, so stay tuned, because in part 2, we're going to peel back even more layers, exploring the global impact of banana. And trust me, there's a lot more to uncover.
It's going to be good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of banana.
Last time we uncovered some pretty surprising facts about bananas, like, did you know a banana is technically a berry?
It's true, and the surprises don't stop there.
No, they certainly do not. So this time I'm really curious to explore the global impact of banana. Conrad Riker's book, Bananas Unpeeled, really opened my eyes to how important they are to the world.
It's incredible how influential the banana trade is. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that impacts millions of lives.
It's mind-blowing to think something as simple as a banana could have so much power. So where do most of these bananas come from?
Well, most bananas are grown in tropical countries, places like Latin America, the Caribbean, Southeast Asia.
So like banana republics.
Exactly. In fact, Ecuador is the world's largest exporter of bananas.
Ecuador, huh? So their economy must be pretty dependent on bananas.
Oh, absolutely. A huge chunk of Ecuador's income comes from exporting bananas. It provides jobs and drives their economic growth.
That sounds a little risky, though, relying so heavily on one crop. What if something happens, like a disease outbreak or a natural disaster?
That's a real concern, and it shows how vulnerable countries can be when they depend on a single export. But it's not just about economics. There's also this fascinating concept called banana diplomacy.
Banana diplomacy, I've never heard of that.
Well, imagine a country where most people rely on the banana industry to make a living. If the banana trade is doing well, everyone benefits, the economy thrives, there's social stability, even political power.
But if things go south with the banana trade,
It can lead to unrest, instability, even regime change.
so the banana trade can be a tool of foreign policy.
Exactly. Historically, powerful countries have used their control over the banana trade to influence political situations.
Wow, I never realized bananas were so intertwined with global politics, but
Yeah.
it sounds like there's a darker side to this story too. Conrad Riker mentions things like banana wars and exploitation of workers.
Yeah, sadly, the history of the banana trade is full of corporate greed, political manipulation, and exploitation of workers.
So it's not all sunshine and bananas, so to speak.
Unfortunately not. There's a long history of banana plantation workers being subjected to unfair wages, dangerous conditions, even violence.
Those banana wars you mentioned, what were those all about?
They were often conflicts over land, labor rights, and control of the banana trade.
It's crazy to think something as seemingly innocent as a banana could have such a dark history. But are there any efforts to make things better?
Definitely. Consumers are becoming more aware of the ethical side of things, and there's a growing demand for fair trade and sustainably grown bananas.
What exactly does fair trade mean when it comes to bananas?
It means that banana farmers are paid a decent wage and work in safe conditions. It also promotes environmentally friendly farming practices.
So it's about creating a more just and sustainable banana industry.
Exactly. Fair trade aims to help farmers and workers protect the environment and give consumers a way to make ethical choices.
That's good to know. But what about the environmental impact of growing bananas in general? Doesn't agriculture contribute to deforestation and pollution and things like that?
You're right. Conventional banana farming does have some negative environmental effects.
Like what?
Well, the large-scale monoculture practices they use can lead to deforestation, soil degradation, and water contamination. Plus, the heavy use of pesticides can harm wildlife, pollute water sources, and put the health of workers and consumers at risk.
So it's kind of a trade-off. We get to enjoy these delicious bananas, but at a cost to the environment and the people growing them.
It is a dilemma, but the good news is that there are alternatives, and we'll dive into those sustainable farming practices in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready to hear about those. I'm really curious to learn what we can do as consumers to make better choices.
Great! Get ready to be inspired because we're going to explore the world of organic bananas, agroforestry, and other innovative approaches that are shaping the future of the banana industry.
Okay, so far we've uncovered the impact of the banana trade on the global economy and politics, the darker side of its history, and the environmental issues surrounding banana farming.
And in the last part of our deep dive, we'll explore the exciting world of sustainable banana farming and the cutting-edge science that's paving the way for the future of this beloved fruit.
All right, welcome back to our final deep dive into the world of banana.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, from those seed-filled ancient bananas to the global trade and all its complexities, and the challenges facing conventional banana farming.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating story.
Now, I'm ready to explore those more sustainable practices and innovations you mentioned, the ones that are paving the way for a better future for bananas.
It's a really exciting area.
So let's hear about some of these solutions. What are people doing to make a difference?
Well, one of the most promising things is agroforestry.
Forestry, what's that?
It's basically integrating banana plants with other trees and crops to create a more diverse and resilient ecosystem.
So instead of those huge monoculture plantations, it's more like a natural forest environment.
Exactly. It helps preserve biodiversity, improve soil health, and even provide shade for the banana plants, which means they need less water.
That sounds great. So what about water usage? Are there any ways to make banana farming less water intensive?
Definitely. Drip irrigation is becoming more and more popular.
Drip irrigation, what is that?
It's a system that delivers water directly to the roots of the plants, so there's less waste and a smaller water footprint overall.
Much more efficient. Okay, let's talk about pesticides. Is there any way to avoid using those harmful chemicals?
There is. Organic farming methods are gaining traction. They rely on natural pest control methods like introducing beneficial insects that prey on the bad bugs.
So like fighting fire with fire, but in a natural way.
Exactly. And there's also a push for using biopesticides, which are made from natural sources like bacteria or fungi.
So there are some really innovative solutions being developed, but are these sustainable practices actually being used on a large scale?
It's happening, but slowly, consumer demand plays a big role. The more people choose organic, fair trade, and sustainably grown bananas, the more incentive there is for everyone to get on board.
So we can make a difference with our choices.
Absolutely. Every purchase sends a message.
That's good to know. Now, what about the role of science? Are there any cutting-edge technologies helping to secure the future of banana?
There's some really cool research happening. Scientists are using genetic modification techniques to develop bananas that are resistant to diseases like Panama disease.
So, like giving the banana a shield to protect it from those nasty infections.
Exactly. It's a controversial topic, but it could change everything.
Yeah, I can imagine there are concerns about GMOs.
Of course. And those concerns need to be addressed. We need to have open discussions and weigh the benefits against the risks.
Sounds like the future of bananas depends on a lot of different factors.
It does. Sustainable farming, scientific innovation, and consumer awareness, they all play a part. And the choices we make today will determine the fate of this incredible fruit.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive.
I agree.
I feel like I've learned so much, not just about bananas themselves, but about the impact they have on the world.
Me too. And if you're interested in learning even more, I highly recommend Conrad Reicher's book, Bananas Unpeeled.
Yes, it's full of amazing insights and stories that will completely change how you see banana. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Check it out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.